Thanks, Michuki. And thanks to all of you for still being in the room and being awake. I know it's difficult to follow, Jan. So I was asked to do the NOC report. And for those of you that are not familiar with it, the NOC report is basically a breakdown of the setup of the event, what we did, how we got things working, etc. But at the start, I have to confess that while I am responsible or help set up the meeting network in a lot of networks, I wasn't actually involved in the setup here. And I strongly suspect, well, actually, I have no reason why Mark might have asked me to do this instead, but you can extrapolate for yourself. Okay? So with the real NOC team, I know that you're in the room, and I know that you're quite shy, but would you mind standing up? Or I'm going to call you out. I see 2 people have run away already. Seriously, do you want me to limp back there and make you stand up? Okay. So this is 2 of the NOC team. The others have walked on. Maybe we'll get them in here. Thank you very much for helping to setting up the network. So as you all know, the bandwidth for the event has been sponsored by CCOM, so thank you very much for that, CCOM. I'm sure that everybody's been having fun using the network. And what you probably don't know is that CCOM did the entire setup themselves. So even the wireless APs that you see here, down to the cabling and everything else that's happened, all of that was done by CCOM. And I don't know why I'm here, except perhaps they just didn't want me asking the difficult questions. So some information about what's in place for you. We're part of a 10 gig ring, so there's a 10 gig protected ring that's going in here, and we've got a gigabit peeled off for ourselves. There's a little router in the cabinet just as you enter on the left-hand side, as you exit on the left-hand side. There's a makeshift environment that we've set up as a NOC. So there's a Juniper MX104, I think it's called that. That's acting as our border router, and there are 15 of these little APs that you'll see all around Cisco 2602s, and that's been providing us with Wi-Fi access for the event. Of course, every event needs services, even very, very basic services. So there are 2 Apple Mac Minis that are in the NOC, actually. They run FreeBSD, of course, because all servers should run FreeBSD, and if you're doing anything else, you're an idiot. But, that's just my opinion. What do I know? They run ISC DHCPD, so DHCP daemon for both v4 and v6. And this is all software that, just for the record, I did not choose. The NOC team have been set up and run themselves. They're running Bind 9, and you would notice, I know Mark Elkins did, that there's DNSSEC validation open. So DNSSEC validation being done. So all the nice tick boxes that you would typically ask for, the dual stack IPv4, the dual stack IPv4 v6, the DNS servers being fed to you via DHCP4 and DHCP6, all of those boxes should be ticked. If it's not ticked for anyone, you're probably using Windows 98 or something earlier than that, in which case we have a great solution for you. Come see us outside. We have a hatchet. I'm going backwards. Right. And then CCOM were also very kind enough to provide us with a /19 worth of IPv4 address space. And you might think, oh my God, a /19? Well, you'll start to see why this stuff is actually very useful. And because we're a site, we've got a /48 worth of IPv6. Now, here's the interesting bits. I don't know how to make it do funny transitions, but there were 1,215 DHCP leases, and this was as of this morning, on a 2-hour cycle. That means, in the space of 2 hours, 1,215 machines were allocated unique addresses. And that's quite impressive, because if you think about it, that means on an average of 300 people-ish, we've got fewer than 300 people here. That's 4 IP addresses, or 4 IP addresses in use per person. This is v4 and v6. Well, actually, that's not true. I didn't check the v6 stats. And that's quite significant. 4 devices per person. So I don't know how many of you are walking around with smart watches and smart sandals. You like that? That's for you, Jess. I don't know how many of you are walking around with all the smart devices, but an average of 4 IP addresses is considerably higher than what we would see in, for example, the African Internet Summit. So I helped set up the network for the African Internet Summit, and when we're doing that, we usually provision 1.5 IPs. Don't shoot me. Ben, I see that look in your face. We provision 1.5 IPs per user. So to see that at 4 here, that's quite impressive. It means that lots of folks have devices online. Okay? And then the other interesting statistic for me personally, at least in the Wi-Fi level, was that 42% of all Wi-Fi clients, and again, I'm sorry, we don't have this in nice pictures. I'm not the graphical-ish person. 42% of all Wi-Fi users were on 5 gigahertz, and that's really good. That means that there's more and more users using devices that are newer. I guess that's a good thing. But also, I think it's also due to the fact that the APs that we have here perform band steering, so they try to force you to use they try to force you to use 5 gigahertz if that's available, and that's really helped make a difference. You'll see why in a second. So, taking full credit for the work that somebody else has done. This is the Wi-Fi layout as it was done. So this is something that the CCOM team would have done. For those of you that have been here the whole week, you would have known that the event is not just this room, not just this plenary room, and then the place where you've been getting free t-shirts on the other side. There's stuff going on in the rooms along the shore, and as you'll see, this is the spread of the wireless APs. I couldn't give you the channel spread, unfortunately, because although it was planned and done, it was changed a little to accommodate with some of what the hotel has in place to cut off interference and things like that. So we were talking a little bit about 5 gigahertz earlier on, and this is something I pulled off my laptop. It's not a true spectrum analyzer. Unfortunately, I don't yet have one that's working properly. This is just Wi-Fi signals, and you'll see what's happening in 2.4. You'll see what's happening in 2.4 there. So congratulations to all of you that do not know that using 40 megahertz channels is a really dumb thing to do. If you don't, there are a lot of very opinionated people at the back, that row there, that will happily feed you into some clues. So if you are Huawei, I can't read that from here. The thing that started with Huawei, you should not be doing 40 megahertz in 2.4, please, unless you're in your home, because you just make it noisy for the rest of us. But for those of you that have Clue and have extended beyond using Windows 98 and things like that, you'll see why 5 gigahertz is so nice. And this is a really big hotel. Well, they've got lots of APs of their own as well. And this is the 5 gigahertz usage. And this isn't stuff I made up. I snapped this just before we got in here, which is why I was late earlier on. So, if you're planning a wireless event, if you're planning events or if you're planning on setting up stuff, if you're not doing 5 gigahertz or you're catering for it, you're doing yourself a real disservice. Now the important stuff. And you know what the real issue here is? The issue is not about who used the bandwidth and how much bandwidth you used. Absolutely not. The issue is which was the interesting talk. Because the interesting talks usually have everybody listening, like how all of you are now, right? But the not so interesting talks are when everyone's downloading whatever it is they're downloading. So the statistics for Monday, we only started putting this, I'm only showing you what we did on Monday and not the testing that we've done. Firstly, I've got to say you were a very well-behaved audience. Of the gigabit that CCOM very kindly donated to us, you didn't even hit, well, you didn't make any of our marks move. So on Monday, it was pretty well behaved. We tipped up to about 80 megabits a second. All right, 81 megabits a second is what we registered as maximum. On Tuesday, you could see there was some uneasiness setting in. We got to 83 megabits a second, which is still not too bad. I mean, this is a big meeting room. We had 200 people in here. But today at like 20 past 10, Now, I did not look at the agenda, so I do not know who this was. I know it was not me, because I spoke after lunch. But 20 past 10, I'm sorry, whoever you were, people didn't like what you were saying. We peaked to about 120 megabits a second. The statistics do not lie, okay? I didn't make this up, by the way. This is what it says. So this is our stats for the week. There's really not much more. Again, I just want to say thank you to the team that built the network. They still have not. Oh, one of them has stepped in. She can now stand up. Yeah. So we can say thank you for your work. Oh no, this is not working. All right, she doesn't want to stand up. But thank you again to the NOC team. Thank you for your hard work. And if you have questions, I'll try to answer them. But I'm sure that the NOC guys are going to be better positioned than I am. Questions? No questions. You see, it worked. This is exactly why he had me here. Because I would have asked things like, why do you not have a password on the SSID? Because that's something that's really important to do. Otherwise, you can do interesting things like cookie hijackings. But since none of you have difficult questions, I'm going to say again to the NOC team, thank you very much. We appreciate your work. Thank you again to CCOM. You've been a fantastic bandwidth sponsor, and I'm sure everybody agrees. So can we get a round of applause for CCOM, please? All right, thank you.